About the latest gaming sensation, Flappy Bird.
Flappy Bird.
Flappy Bird.
Flappy Bird.
Flappy Bird.
You ruined my life, Flappy.
What happens when a game so simple it looks like it was coded in a weekend suddenly becomes one of the biggest viral hits in mobile gaming history, only to vanish off the face of the internet at the height of its popularity? And what if it told you that the story involves memes, burnout, and a developer who walked away from tens of thousands of dollars per day? This is the strange and spectacular tale of Flappy Bird, the game that flew too close to the sun. I'm Jake and this is nerdsection.com. Let's rewind to 2013. The mobile gaming landscape was already overflowing with glossy, microtransaction-heavy titles. Studios were spending millions polishing games to perfection, or at least to addiction. Angry Birds was still flying high, Clash of Clans was conquering wallets, and every other game was trying to lock you into a daily login loop. Then, out of nowhere, along came a yellow pixelated bird with the aerodynamic grace of a brick, and a control scheme so primitive it made Pong look complicated. Enter Flappy Bird. It was developed by Dang Nguyen, a self-taught coder from Hanoi, Vietnam. Working under his solo dev label Gears, Nguyen specialized in making brutally hard arcade-style games. The philosophy behind his design? Simplicity and skill. Games that anyone could pick up, but almost no one could master. Flappy Bird was the purest version of that idea. The game first landed on the App Store in May 2013, and it did nothing. Almost no one noticed it. There were no ads, no influencers pushing it, no trailers hyping it up. It just sat there. But sometime in late 2013, the game began quietly gaining momentum. Some speculate it was featured in a small section of the App Store. Others credit Ryan, the new defunct short video app, where users began posting clips of themselves failing hilariously. The game spread like wildfire, not because it was good in a traditional sense, but because it was addictive, and frustrating, and infuriating. By January 2014, Flappy Bird was everywhere. It was the #1 free app on both the iOS App Store and Google Play in over 100 countries. It was downloaded more than 50 million times. Just picture that. Tens of millions of people tapping the screens like maniacs, cursing every time they hit a pipe, sharing their embarrassingly low scores and swearing they would never play again, only to try just one more time. And with every tap, Nguyen was earning more and more. According to his own interviews, the game was bringing in roughly $50,000 per day in ad revenue. Per day. That's more than most developers see in a year. All from one guy, one game and one mechanic. But then came the twist. On February 8, 2014, Nguyen posted a tweet that blindsides the entire gaming world. He said, "I'm sorry Flappy Bird users. 22 hours from now I will take Flappy Bird down. I cannot take this anymore." No warning, no real explanation, just a ticking clock. And 22 hours later, Flappy Bird vanished from the app stores. Naturally, the internet lost its collective mind. Speculation went into overdrive. Some thought it was legal pressure. After all, the green pipes looked a lot like the ones from Super Mario. Maybe Nintendo sent a cease and desist. But Nintendo later confirmed they had nothing to do with it. Others figured it was a marketing stunt, or that Nguyen had been paid off to remove it. But the truth was simpler and more human. In later interviews, Nguyen explained he was overwhelmed. The attention, the stress, the constant media requests. It was all too much. But more than that, he felt guilty. Guilty that the game was too addictive, that people were obsessing over it in a way he never intended. His inbox was full of messages from people saying they couldn't stop playing, or that they were fighting with family members over the high scores. Nguyen had made the game to be a short, fun distraction. When it became something darker, he pulled the plug. That decision earned him both admiration and confusion. In an era where developers are often pressured to maximize profit above all else, Nguyen did the unthinkable. He walked away from the money. Of course, the vacuum left behind Flappy Bird didn't stay empty for long. Within days, the app stores were flooded with clones, dozens at first, then hundreds. Some were blatant rip-offs: Flappy Fish, Flappy Bee, Flappy Cyrus. Yes, themed after Miley Cyrus in her Wrecking Ball era. Others tried to build on the formula, adding power-ups, enemies, even multiplayer modes. There were mashups like Flappy Dunk, Flappy Golf, and Fallout Bird by the band Fall Out Boy. For a brief moment, the word Flappy was as good as gold. Until both Apple and Google cracked down, banning games that used the term in their titles due to the overwhelming flood of spammy apps. But the mania didn't stop there. Phones with the original Flappy Bird still installed began appearing on eBay, listed for hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars. While most of those sales were probably scams or never completed, it showed how desperate fans were to hold onto the game, to own a piece of digital history. And what about Dong Nguyen? He didn't vanish, but he definitely retreated from the spotlight. He released a few more games, Swing Copters being the most notable, which tried to recapture Flappy Bird's challenge with vertical movement instead of horizontal. It was well received, but never caught fire. He also released a multiplayer version of Flappy Bird called Flappy Bird's Family, exclusively for the Amazon TV stick. But by then, the cultural moment had passed. Yet, after all these years, Flappy Bird lives on, in memes, in pop culture, and in the memories of anyone who ever made it past 10 pipes and felt like a god. It's one of the rare games that transcended its code, its design, even its developer's intent. It wasn't just a mobile game, it was a movement, a meme, a meltdown in your pocket. So what happened to Flappy Bird? It was born from simplicity, rocketed to a global fame, and died at the hands of the very person who made it. Not because it failed, but because it succeeded far beyond anyone's expectations. And in doing so, it became one of the most iconic stories in modern gaming history. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into gaming history, don't forget to tap that like button, preferably without hitting a pipe. Subscribe for more pixel-perfect stories from the golden age of weird internet gaming, and stay tuned for our upcoming breakdown of another iconic piece of gaming history. This has been Nerd Section, and we will see you next time.